I will now call to order the meeting of the Power Valley Healthcare District Hospital Corporation Strategic Planning and Marketing Committee. Rosie, can I please get roll call, please?
Yes. Director Gallagher?
Present.
Stephen Gray?
Yes.
Julie Peterson? Yes. Max O'Branty?
Here.
Nancy Gear? Yes. And Sarah Nunez?
Here. Any agenda modifications for consideration today? I believe so. No. Okay. Any public comment online?
No, online.
Public comment here in the room. So I'll close comment. Any comments from committee members? Okay. The consent agenda. We have one item today. It's just a minute approval from our previous meeting on August 13th. Do we have any questions? No. Public comment?
No, online.
Seeing none in here, I'll close that public comment. I'll ask for a motion for the consent calendar. Move. Second.
And Gray. All right. Director Gallagher?
Yes.
Stephen Gray?
Yes.
Julie Peterson? Yes. Max O'Branty?
Yes.
Nancy Gear? Yes. And Director Gallagher?
Yes.
Sarah Nunez?
Yes.
Say your name twice. Sorry.
You did first.
Oh.
I was just saying yes.
Just wanted to double check. Are you sure?
My name. Passes unanimously. So, discussion item number 2, Watsonville Community Hospital market share data. Yeah, I've got 3 slides I thought would be helpful to look at. So, I guess it's 4 because it starts with, that was it?
Let me share it here first.
Oh, okay.
There it is. Go ahead.
Cool. So, as we are trying to serve more and more of our community, we have data available to us that tells us what percentage of our community we are serving. This is data that's available from the state website. It can be broken down either by the county of origin of the patient or the zip code of origin of the patient. So what I've done is I've selected the 2 zip codes that most closely overlap our healthcare district. 5076 and 5019. So go to the next slide for me. So there's just 3 slides that look just like this, and they literally released the 2023 data this morning. So I updated these slides this morning with the 2023 data, and there are a couple of interesting changes from 22 to 23. So for this one, this is all inpatient. So you can see we were at 58% of people who live in 95019 or 76 needed inpatient hospital care. 2012 to 14, about 58% of those were getting their care here. Last year it was 43.8%, or 2022 it was 43.8%, and 2023 it was down to 39. Which I think we can have all sorts of theories about this one, but in the last year, I think in the last 2 years, there has been a lot more emphasis on interqual criteria. So I would venture to guess that I know we've had an increase in patients who are coded as observation days in 23 and particularly in 24, as we have done a better job of identifying correctly patient versus observation. And a lot of our surgeries, as you'll see in a couple of slides, have just moved from in outpatient. Go to the next slide, emergency. That's really been flat for the last couple of years. Patients in emergency department care who have come here, who live in our 2 zip codes, and obviously it was 80% in 2012 and is now right around 60%. So this is not what's driving, at least from 22.
ambulatory surgery has gone up, 23, 21, and 22. Still lower than it was 10, but it did go up to 9 percentage points. 22. Similar increase to what we had as a decrease over on the inpatient side. So we certainly have moved some inpatient surgeries to outpatient, which is kind of a trend, right? And also the clinic recruited a number of surgeons. Right? So, and accept in terms of surgeons that have been brought on to. So this was data that, Director Gallagher referenced in the past, like where were we before and where are we now? So it's not a super pretty picture because it's the last 10 or 12 years of where we've gone and where we were. But it gives us a nice baseline for as we move forward as a healthcare district and as we think about ways to measure success in how we are serving our community and making it so that patients or community members don't have to leave the area to get the care that they need. I'm guessing you didn't have the time to go through all of the data, right? I'm sure it's a lot, or do you feel like, well, I have all of it. Okay. All right here. Okay. Is there a question you have? No, you said that there was, you mentioned the first, like the trend that you're seeing stuck out to you. I was just wondering if there's anything that's not on these 4 slides that you think also just overall were like, oh, that's really interesting or anything additional to this? No, so these 3 data points, inpatient, and ambulatory surgery, are all that's available for market shares. Oh, I see. Okay. What is available is every other hospital in California, right? So you can go to any county of origin of the patient, zip code of origin of the patient, any hospital in California. How many of those? I've gone to all those different hospitals. So like I can pull up any other hospital on here and tell you what their market share is of patients who live in those 2 zip codes. Okay. How far back did you go? 20 months. I don't think I'm surprised, I guess, in the number 2023. Either one, I think. Yeah. Very interesting if you look at the numbers and then correlate that to the sales, right? CHS up until 2016, or quorum from 16 to 19, Waltham, and the district in 22, and we're going back to us. So, and if you look at all the different graphs, they're interesting. Good for innovation. Sort of a mixed reaction, right? I mean, I knew the overall, I had a sense of it. I didn't know the surgery. It is sobering. Yeah. But on the other hand, the other side of that coin is almost anything we do to improve quality and market. Yeah, work. It's sobering to see where we are, and it's also exciting to see back to you. Is it useful to look at Dominican, what share Dominican has, or is there other out-migration? Yeah, so that's one thing I did was I looked at, I did for all the hospitals, what was the 2022 to 2023 change in market share. So like in inpatient, we lost 4.5 percentage points. Dominican gained 2.6. So that was the biggest gainer from our loss in inpatient care. The others were Regional of San Jose gained 7%, Good Sam gained 0.6%.
This is all of these zip codes, right, Steve? Or
just patients who live in our zip codes. Yeah. to the ambulatory surgery, we gained 2.9%. Dominican lost 2.4%. Sutter lost 1.8%. And interestingly, Chomp gained 1.4%. So we had two big winners and two big losers. Us and Chomp went up and Sutter went down.
I would guess the San Jose stuff reasonable, and those are transfers, most of them.
Yeah, right, on the inpatient side.
Same,
exactly.
It's a factor.
I think those are patients we've sent them.
Yeah.
Right, pretty much, yeah. In terms of total market share, you know, on the inpatient side, we are, I mean, on all these, we're the highest, right? But on inpatient, we were at 28%, or sorry, we were at 30, go back 2 slides for me. 39. We're at 39, Dominicans at 28. Ambulatory 20. Sutter's the highest. They're at 30. Ambulatory surgery.
Yeah, I thought kind of interesting to Max's point about, certainly there was a drop between 2016 and 2019. At Halton, 41%, really got stronger until we really ratcheted down.
Right, 'cause remember they were pushing admissions out of the ER, so.
Yeah. Inappropriate.
And not using interqual data.
Yeah, well, not necessarily
Criteria.
getting paid.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, but it is interesting. I guess that kind of goes. Really where you saw them drop off, every minute.
And what's interesting is that is the 67.7% is more patient visits than the 80% was in 20.
Oh, huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's 25,600 on the 3,000 in 2012.
Ask you to repeat Dominican ER data.
Dominican ER data?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had 25,655 visits in the year. They had 82.
Well, percentage.
So their market share of
82,000.
Oh,
From these zip codes.
from the zip.
From these areas, yeah.
their market share from these 21.
Kind of wonder, like, they just happen to be up in Santa Cruz when they had the emergency, or did they go? Probably, well, it could be a little, obviously, a little of both, but.
Right, and
The
we're
fact
not
that they
semi-receiving, so we get bypassed.
Say it again, say the first.
We're not semi-receiving, so we get bypassed. That's some of the ambulance traffic.
Okay, right.
Bypassing us.
Never going to be 100%, right?
No,
But,
yeah.
No.
Early on, after the district, I had heard stories people said on them. That's Watsonville. Or Watsonville. You just go to Dominican.
Right.
I haven't been hearing those stories.
We're on pace for 35,000. 33 last year. 12 months from now, we can look at it.
In 24.
Steve, where do you think, I mean, I can be used in various different ways, but in terms of ways that are useful for this group and then also later for the board, this data, like, where do you think it influences most sort of projections or trajectory or us, like, long-term plans?
I mean, this is long-term planning data, right? This is long-term, high-level, 10 months interviews data that's only annual and not like on a monthly, quarterly basis where we can see immediate short short-term trends of things, but I think that, you know, when we're looking at a 5-year plan, we could say, you know, here's where we levels of market share, we could set goals for one or all three of them. That, you know, we want to improve it in this area, which will then drive physician recruitment efforts, staffing recruitment efforts, and service line development with, you know, collaboration with the foundation and things like that. So these are long-term, multi-year measures. Part of our mission, which is to care for people where they live.
The other upside perspective is most of these are average daily sales. And if we're at as far flexed down or overhead as we can be, also upside opportunity, all fixed overhead.
Well, like I said, those are all the slides I had, and it's accomplished what I thought it would, which is so that we can get an understanding of where we've come, where we are, and narrow it a little bit.
Have to open up to public comment, so Rosie, any obviously here. I'll close it down and move us to item number 3. There's another session on 2. Nancy, whenever you can.
Okay, so, yeah, so we talked about this in the last meeting about bringing everybody up to speed on, there was no formal marketing plan put together. I wanted to give you insight into the marketing strategies that have been implemented since transition and the rationale behind that. And then we can have a foundation to look forward to the marketing plan that will be put together, probably as a 2-year plan for 25-26. So think about this. I mean, we began in September of 2022. So I'm really just looking at the first 2 years of marketing strategies. So 2023, I like to think of as the blank canvas at the time, because when I came, it was really, June had been in the position before me, but 2 weeks, I think, after she started, it was, you know, they just thrust into the bankruptcy. Her whole focus was on fundraising and saving the hospital. So, and prior to that, there wasn't a lot of marketing that happened under Halston, and prior to that, it was more national, a couple of national things happening from, you know, the powers that be in their headquarters. So really 2023 was what I call the blank. I entered into a blank canvas. What are our priorities? What do we need to do right away in the absence of any marketing really that had been done in a long time? So really we were reestablishing ourselves as a nonprofit district hospital, building partnerships, really understanding the players, re-engaging with the community that has been sort of disconnected for quite a long time, and really prioritizing those connections. Reconnecting with the press was another huge thing, because the press had kind of been shut out. There was a lot of, my understanding, there was a lot of like, no comment, you know, never engaging the press in our story to help tell our story, or even to report on news happening to a large degree. So there was a lot of relationship building with the press going on initially in 23. And then really the foundational marketing elements. We also had virtually no budget. So what could we do at a foundational level to begin on marketing strategy? So really looking at the brand and who we were now as a nonprofit district hospital, and what do we stand for, and how are we different? And then with all the components, district, the hospital, the foundation, how do we develop some brand cohesion there? So on that work, and then looking at the core communication cycle, which of course is the website. It's pretty foundational. People look for you online, you have to have basic information out there, on the website. So, this is really sort of the focus on external strategy, overarching, and I'll get into the tactics in a minute, but these were the bigger overall strategies. So in terms of internal, those are external strategies. The internal strategies at the same time was, as you guys know, a lot of PTSD from all the changes in leadership and lack of trust and uncertainty, what's happening next, do I have a stable job, all those things. So really the strategy internally in terms of communication was to rebuild trust with the staff, reassuring them about the long-term sustainability of the hospital as now a nonprofit district. And then, creating programs to connect with employees, recognize their contributions and inform them to feel valued under this new leadership. And those are the big picture strategies internally, because there was a lot of work to be done on internal communication. So it was a time of listening and understanding, really, and so we did our first community health needs assessment as a nonprofit in the end of 2023. We completed it, and that served, from a marketing standpoint and lens, that served as our sort of initial market research. Well, just getting a little window into what are the current needs. Of course, there's a lot of data out there from the county and others, but this was a nice, just baseline for us to look at, just to begin to understand where do we go with outreach and such. And then, lots of networking, as you all know. Everybody in this room was networking and re-engaging as a part of that. Whether it was public health, elected officials, Rotary, leadership Santa Cruz. We did our first town hall in July. Various sponsorships. When Steve started in November, we called it the CEO Roadshow. We were sending him out everywhere. Even as we looked at bond, if you remember at that time, we were looking at whether we should do the bond. Matco and June were out networking and engaging. And that was all part of, Julie did a lot with all the financials and everything. It's all those pieces were a part of re-engaging with on a number of fronts and with key stakeholders, whether they were elected officials or community-based organizations. So that's kind of where we started. So in terms of the actual tactics, and these are not in date order, but I wanted to kind of go through, think about the strategies and these are the tactics that fall under those strategies. So creating the brand cohesion, you all know we're in the process of the new logo development. This month we're going to be doing consumer focus group research on that, and we should have hopefully a new logo by November. So we're well on our way with that. And then we're talking about launching that, and it's the opportunity to help continue to explain what the heck is the district as it relates to the hospital and all the pieces parts. Reputation management, when I first started, I obviously, we talked a little bit about, how our reputation suffered under the previous owners and a lot of questions. And so I really felt like that was our biggest thing that we had to address. And so we started, we've engaged just recently with a company that's helping us to improve our online ratings. We just finished the first 30 days, and we went from an average star rating on Google of a 2.7 for the hospital to a 3.7 in 1 month. Because we're asking patients, how was your stay? In the past, we just got people who were really ticked off, talking about how bad it was. And now we're asking every single person, whether they were an outpatient or inpatient, how was your stay? You get a simple text, 1 through 5, choose it, and option to say something about it. So it's amazing when you ask how many people really are having a great experience, and so that's how you build your star rating. So we're hoping, and then once we get to a 4 or 5 star rating, then we have something that I can promote, in marketing, messaging and stuff about our, and it's not just Google, it's other online reputation as well. So that's underway. Ongoing, obviously, press outreach. I've said this before, I've never worked in a place where there was more media relations work to be done. It's just been like just so much interest in us in these first 2 years about what's happening. And so there's been tons of great but really, overall, we've had a lot of positive press, and I think it's something that we should really celebrate, because it's been a huge turnaround in how we are presented out there publicly, to the readers of the papers and the television we've done between that and so many TV interviews and such. So that's going in a positive direction. Let's see. So rebuilding the website. So Rosie and I are working on the Engaged Civic Plus, which is a company that they do the Watsonville City and the Capitola City websites. They specialize in government agency websites, and so there was a lot of it wasn't just for redesign, but also compliance. There's a lot of compliance issues around what you have to have out there on your site. So we're in the process of redesigning and rebuilding content so it's compliant with all the various regulations. So that had to be the first priority because of the compliance rationale. And then I've done a lot of updating on our hospital site, and I'm so excited to dive into that next year. There'll be a redesign of the hospital website, because that's actually still a template. I've changed it a lot, but it's
you can only do so much.
That's coming. Yeah, and then there's so much work there to be done. There's so many ways it's outdated and how it relates to search engines and stuff. So there's a lot of work there coming. Of course, social media. We instituted the Kaiser Broker Tours, which have been really successful in just creating goodwill among the brokers who are selling insurance and promoting us as a hospital. They come away seeing all the great things we're doing, and then they, that word of mouth has come out there. Nourish, of course, launching that, the Nourish marketing plan, developing the logo for that, the interior design, the launch event, and the PR for Nourish. International IAOAD is International Overdose Awareness Day. That was an opportunity. Well, first of all, it was one of the 5 top needs substance use in our community health needs assessment. So it was one of the ways we were addressing it, as well as inpatient strategies. But it also gave us an opportunity in 2023 to be a convener, to sort of shift our role from, just barely surviving to being a convener of agencies and groups in the community to really help us engage. And so we brought together like 30 agencies that serve substance use, and began to reposition ourselves. So that was, and that's gone on for 2 years. Also supporting the foundation, we launched a new donor newsletter, had a 1-year anniversary, and of course the gala as well was quite a thing, accomplishment. Measure Ed marketing support, coastal healthcare marketing support, hospitalist marketing. We did some initial. This is the very first foray into like some patient outreach, which is something I wanted us to be able to do in the coming next 2 years. Is really understanding the patient journey, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But we've done some initial marketing support with hospitalists. Of course, support communications for the partnership RFP, and then reconnecting with the health trust through a number of different things out of the health fair. It's just that we were kind of disengaged for a while, and now this is one of the ways that we're So these were, those two slides kind of go through all the different things externally that have been happening, all really with almost no budget. That was, part of determining how we allocate our time. So in terms of internal communication tactics, we, as I said, wanted to ensure open and transparent internal communication with the staff, so that they felt heard and supported. We launched the Compass internal website at the beginning of 2024. I do a lot of senior leadership communication support also, and, just constantly okay, we need to let the employees know about this or that, or just keeping them engaged in the high level things, the decisions that are being made. We, as you know, we were both at the last employee employee town hall. We've hosted several of those. We initiated and created the Blue Star Awards to recognize employees. Had just some amazing nominations there, both from internal nominators and families. Established the employee suggestion box, the wisdom well. That's your favorite.
No, I didn't recognize what it was. Now that you're
So that has been honestly. The suggestions that come in are really substantive. Like, for example, we just had an employee say, why can't we have iPads so when we do patient translation, we're not tying up the charging their phone because doctors could be trying to call. So we ordered like 3 iPads, and it's just things like that that really make a difference where the employees on the front line know the little things that really can help. And so it's been a great thing. It's comes to senior leadership once a month, and decisions are made, and things happen. And so I think employees are starting to see real change based on their suggestions. It's been a really, I think, successful program to engage. And then during the CNA negotiations, we actually, I don't think it's ever been done here before, created a bulletin, a regular bulletin to keep employees updated on our side of the story. With regard to, there's a lot of stuff that goes out from the unions, and so it's important to, make sure that they know what's happening at the bargaining table. So just to quell any crazy rumors or whatever, and just keep people engaged in our, desire to come to good, settlement. So that kind of internal communication, again, it's just reflective of, I hope, the open door communication that we're striving for. So engagement events with employees, there's a bunch of things happening there, Doctor's Day, Physician Appreciation. The ambassador team, we're starting to really try to engage not just the senior leadership team, but the whole leadership team in things like, chamber events and other things, so that we're really getting more of the team out there doing that work of representing the hospital out in the team. And then finally, you, I think, know about the leadership coming up this month. So, and I don't know the last time that's taken place. So, just to really support leadership development, and again, engage staff, even though they're at the leadership level. So, those are the internal communication tactics that have been happening. And so, as far as looking ahead, I wanted to talk a little bit about 2025, 26. So the next step really, what I see for our strategies is we've done a lot of basic work now. I feel like we need to really continue to meet people where they are, right? Not expect that they, come to us necessarily. So online search, social, and in the really being more hands-on, meeting where they are with our story. Targeted outreach, we're looking at the next steps with regard to the community health needs assessment. Diabetes was a huge, one of the top 5 needs there, and so we have a group internally that's looking at how do we outreach directly to people, potentially doing like farm worker outreach or that kind of thing with diabetes and nutrition. I would like us to be able to start to show the faces maybe of, and this is just the initial thoughts on a campaign of really highlighting our staff. We have amazing staff here, and people, it's interesting because as I get these Google reviews, and, you hear, they name people or Blue Star nominees. There's just some really great staff here that I think we can lift up and highlight. And that's one of the things people say. The nurse was amazing, or the whatever, fill in the blank, or respiratory therapist. So I would like us to go in that direction. I want to really dig into the patient journey, talking with our patient access folks, and really right from the beginning when they walk in the front door, in the lobby, and how they're greeted, and what happens next in registration, and then, and see where I can support with that kind of patient or improving the look and feel of things with the patient interface. I think continuing with foundational marketing. I mentioned the hospital website redesign targeted for 25, and I hope we can get to doing better search engine optimization, so that when people search on things for care, we're always at the top of the list. That's a whole, endeavor in and of itself to be sure that your online presence is set up in such a way that that is the result, that people are getting accurate and good information, and we're always the first choice. And then basic collateral material and display signage. I mean, we really don't even have a basic hospital brochure, but, so just some basics, or what's the difference between the district and the hospital, and you know what I mean? So there's just some, again, just some real foundational marketing stuff that needs to happen. So the next step is I'm going to be working on a marketing plan for 25 and 26. It'll be a 2-year strategic marketing plan. The market analysis will include stuff like what Steve just shared, market share data, just understanding community. There's a lot of data out there that we can pull together and look at, who are we serving, where are they, when we talk about meeting them where they are, where are they, what's the best way to reach them, what are their habits, whatever data we can get our hands on goes into that market analysis, and then setting goals, strategies, tactics, KPIs, and then something I've learned from being here is that you have to continually review and reset because things change, priorities change, budgets change, strategies change, and we're still in such an early growth stage as an organization, I think, that I would anticipate the marketing plan setting potentially partway through that 2 years. So that's everything I had to share. Thoughts or questions on either where we've been, why we've taken the direction we have, or direction where we're going.
I think the sooner we can start promoting their voice further and name and presence in the community, better ASAP. Even if it's simple stuff like the circulator bus that goes around town, that bus, or having things all over town. Flyers. One of the thoughts I had was to have a community liaison position so that there is a central contact person. I guess those are my thoughts. And again, from the old days when CHS took over, we really invested there. So these are intended to be an indication of where we are from where we were. The worst review I heard of the hospital was the guy that we by his son. They should burn this place.
When was that?
That was early CHS days.
Oh, goodness.
And the other was going to the grocery store, hearing people tell their stories.
Back then or now? Okay.
No.
Okay.
Back then. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to share with you guys some of the, I'm getting with this new ratings thing, weekly I get like a digest of, and by and large, it's like 4 and 5-star ratings, and the stories are just pretty much through the roof positive. But it is this system also is allowing us to engage with people who have low stars and try and connect with them and rectify whatever the problem was.
It's a lot of work.
But it's good stuff. I mean, it's important because that's how you change the reputation. It's by people, even if they had a bad experience, it's going to happen. We all know that. If there's some engagement from the organization that actually cares about why your experience was bad, that changes perception and reputation, and word of mouth begins to change. So, yeah, it is a lot of work, Tony, but I think, really important work, at a foundation.
Add-on thought is, Diabetes Health Center is quite strong.
Mm-hmm.
Went through a transition and no longer quite strong.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's known. The place as a practicing doc, I used to send folks who had really complicated diabetes. There was a guy in Salinas who had a center. I don't know if he's still in the center still. It would be a good model for us to inquire.
He was part of the health trust, or
No.
Oh.
This was a separate kind of thing. That was center in.
Oh, okay.
I think there's no one, or the last I'd heard, there was no one who could do a diabetes consult or hook somebody up. I don't know if that's still the case. It's a big gap for practicing that. Martha Quintana used to be the director of the Diabetes Health Center. She now works for Custis. She would be being involved. It was sort of her baby, largely. She was the 10th most.
So just on diabetes real quick, because that is one of the top, needs that need to be addressed based on community assessment. So we are looking at, re-engaging better on the inpatient level and also this external, outreach. And I've already had, initial conversations with the health trust to say, we go out there and we do identify people who are pre-diabetic or diabetic, we'd like to. They have a program that's sort of goes between, kind of gets them on a practice of better diet choices and all that, connects them with, so they can be fully connected with a primary care physician. I understand. But anyway, that is just the beginnings of that, those conversations that started to happen. So we can work and not recreate what they've done, but work collaboratively to help trust on that.
My questions are for 25 to 26 and what is your budget look like? Have to spend over the next 2 years, because all of these things, like I think, like even the platform or the people who are helping you with the rating stuff, costs money, right? All of this stuff costs money, and that's a good step in that direction. But what I hope is that it's additive and that it's not something that we do for a year and then we're like, okay, I think I have the sense of this, I can do it on my own, and I see that sometimes, especially from marketing. One person band kind of marketing, they're like, okay, I understand this now, let me see if I can do this by myself for the next. So just being able to, I don't need like a specific, but just being able to scale the marketing budget from year to year to year so that it is like a competitive thing. And I know that you probably can't afford it now, but that.
I hope the same thing. Please jump in, Julie. But we're really, it's been an interesting, because it's just being very creative with, there was a lot of work we could do without a lot of budget.
Right.
Now, this, for example, company that we brought in to help us, it is a cost that I would see us continuing.
Okay.
And hopefully, I hope, like you do, that we would, our operations and our financial plan is on the upward trajectory so that we are increasing our marketing budget accordingly so we can add more. For example, the bus billboards that you're talking about. I mean, advertising is really, it's a costly endeavor. So we're just not doing any of it right now. And there's other priorities that really have to happen first, like these basics I've talked about, having a solid website. You can't, if you advertise and you don't have go to hospital.com and then there's nothing there, it's like so you can't, But eventually I hope we're at a point where we can begin to do some campaigns, things like that. But I see that as down the road for sure. And please jump in.
Well, last year we gave Nancy a budget, I told her she just couldn't spend it.
Right? That's right. So we kept cutting back.
Or kind of keep letting a little bit slip out,
I think there is potential there, though, whether it's through our own foundation
dedicated, like, okay, we need someone, social media contractor that could do both hospital, foundation, whatever it might be, or it is someone that can, help us show up higher on the Google searches and do all the SEO for us, and then also do the ad search or whatever it might be, right? That has it's indirect, but that I think there's like a one-to-one connection of that, right? If more people go to the website, more people can service here. Hospitals. So I know that they're not flush with cash, right? Obviously the foundation, but that is something that I would imagine is in their initiatives of supporting the work that you're doing to improve the general standing and positioning of the hospital. I also think you probably know this already, but happy to share just press contacts for public service announcements, right? And those are really easy things that you don't have to pay for with other than just writing the public service announcement for your whoever it might be, your KSQDs, KZUs, whatever it is, and just say, Buffalo Community Hospital now offering this service or whatever it might be, just to get the word out that gets it to them as a way of saying, we're offering the service. Half I was thinking about, one of the things when we open up, saying that it's available to the real simple stuff like that I know that, are work to do, but don't cost a dime other than our salary, right? So those sorts of things. And I really love, I don't know if it was a one-off thing, but the fact that we're going to the farmer's market again on Fridays and we're doing that, I think Steve or you or maybe June said that we're having.
We did it on Friday at the Health Trust,
Oh, right, the health fair, but working with the farmer's market of like having a booth there or something like that whenever we need things.
I actually did go out with Ellie, just recently to check it out and see, and as a possibility down the road for us if we had a need out there with whatever particular message. So, I gotta look at the front and what that could look like. Possibility.
And then I don't know what our situation with grant funders or with grants are, if we have a grant writer or a contractor.
June has two contracted grant writers.
I know that Kaiser Foundation, they give money, and other foundations as well, they give money for like just general marketing. We've done that before for like Elder Day when we needed to get the word out or other stuff like that. And it's not a ton of money, but like $90,000 to $60,000 you could just on marketing. It's a huge shot in the arm, right? Some of them are invitation only, but if you mention that, but happy to help them. That's like benefits them. They see it as a community investment. Yeah, for Kaiser.
Kaiser is exploring, they're required to provide community benefit in the county. They're actually exploring the possibility of having everything going to us. So if that's the case, there'll be dollars coming.
I know are they restricted, Matco, in any way, or they're just
Community benefits with healthcare related. But what they're trying to do is funnel all those resources to us. Which they're looking at that right now.
Yeah, and then it's just like small stuff, which is like I think it's on us as board members and as well too. Just like I know that Pajaro, they're getting like a new Pajaro Middle School, they're getting like a new big LED sign where they're going to have announcements. So like getting whatever it is, like Wausau Community Hospital, or like donate to the foundation or something like that, right? So like it's like little low-hanging fruit thing that I think is the reason why we sent Steve out like to go meet everyone, and great that you're having other people with the C-suite and June and yourself, Matco, meet with our community partners, because they're like chomping at the bit of like whenever you have a flyer, whenever you have anything, like we have our web of people, right? So that's like you see stuff that we
leverage with their nonprofit partners or our public agencies. It's in your plan. I think that's a really smart way of going about your first. You want to annoy people with how much they see your logo. Spanish language, other than having you introduce one. Right, Fidel. So Fidel's great. I think he's an awesome resource. Yeah, and Adriana is fantastic as well too. And I think places like the iHeart Radio and those folks, they do PA. But it has to be it should.
I was gonna say, typically with them, it's usually if you're an advertiser, they'll
Right.
see your PSA, but
Yeah.
if not.
If it's just a general announcement, that sort of stuff. It's funny when you can like
Yeah.
But those are like the simple ones. Those community radio stations are so easy to work with. They love doing stuff. I know that we're doing one tomorrow, Steve and I, and we're just like always reaching out to them and say, hey, we haven't gone on in half a year or whatever. We'd love to talk about this.
Yeah.
I have this idea for medical advice program. You know, there are many of them. There's a way of having spent a fair amount of time in the ER, it's not unusual to get 2 or 3 or 4 phone calls while I'd be admitting somebody, where the response was, program in the way I imagined it was, calls went to the ward clerk in the ER and then to one of the adult hospitals, or pediatric hospitals, and I could imagine that the complicated things, liability, et cetera, I think it would be very much a way to say to the community what you need.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's more of an operational thing than my,
Yeah,
like, fall into my purview, but,
I wonder if that's something we could eventually do. Yeah, but there may be.
Sure, the calls came, and they get routed, currently get.
Right. Wherever they come to, but to have the infrastructure of the person answering. Yeah, okay.
I thought about APP.
Right.
Or it'd be a lot quicker to call back than a doc who is at home watching whatever's on TV. We get to that later, response.
So the only other thing that I have in here, I think June has already talked about is what he said. I think that there's like a lot of sense of pride of work here in the hospital, and I think that it's kind of a mixed bag, I think, on the outside. I think now that sense of pride is coming back, and I think it's huge for us to be owners of the property and to be able to market that, right? Or like this isn't just the hospital you get services at. This is financially your hospital. You own this hospital. You have the same service hospital. Finding a way to like also implement that in 24, probably further in like 26. I don't know if it's like engaging with our artist community to do something similar, maybe not as big and as wide-ranging as like the Watsonville Briante big thing out there on the Watsonville parking structure that we had the event at, where it's like huge mosaic. I don't know if we could do that on the outside of this, but like having that sense of pride of like as you're walking the halls of the hospital, like you see local artists art up on the walls, like that sort of stuff. You know, to really like emphasize that. I think that's one of our biggest strengths is
our brand. That is who we are. And June does have plans for an art city. Or you talked to Consuelo at the film festival as a potential member, and I know she's got some local artists in mind to eventually get to that point where we have local art showcase hospital throughout the hospital. So yeah, that is again.
Yeah.
She's had her hand full of a lot of other things, and I know it's a desire of hers, but it kind of keeps getting pushed out a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it definitely fits right in with our brand and, being a hospital.
Yeah, even like, I know the city, they're doing like a community arts visioning thing right now, because they implemented like a developer fee. They were asking recently on their committee, I don't know if that, I can't remember when the deadline was to submit an application on there, but just to be able to easily leverage that and say some of those funds that are coming into the city could be, used for our work done here or something like that. That's easy. Be a part of that, right?
Okay.
You're doing a great job, by the way.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. You're doing a great job. Just the logo thing alone, and like putting that whole thing together, stewarding that all the way to where it's at now, then coming up with a marketing plan of how we do this appropriately so that it's not too much change for just enough. You know what I mean? That's already a huge project on its own. So, you did a great job.
Thank you. Okay, so anyway, I just wanted to kind of just progress the rationale. And
I'd like to put this out. Obviously, communication goes from you to Steven to us, but in the plan, at least Ray likes to have me do this in our marketing plan, always put in like really specifically, like, here's how the board, here's what I need from you. Here's what your best use of helping with this marketing plan, outreach, with whatever it might be. Like, here are the things that we need from the board in order for us to outreach into the that's the essential component of this. And it's cool. I was looking at the distribution of our board members according to where they're living, and I know we're at 4. But we all live kind of dispersed throughout the district, and so we're all part of different cities in the district, and so we all have our Thanks, Nancy. Great job. Okay. Open up the public comment.